As a follow-up to those 5 fundamentals in the setup position, I'd like to talk a little bit about the balance in the swing. Now obviously, in a dynamic full movement of a golf swing, balance and timing are vital parts of it. But it mustn't be forgotten in the short game, they're just as important. If you don't have balance, you won't have good control of the club, your timing will be affected, your strike and control of the ball will be lessened to a greater extent. So let's talk a little bit about how the balance within your setup position and your pre-swing fundamentals is affected, so that you are totally clear and you can practice effectively and make your game that much more consistent and reliable. Posture and weight distribution are key factors in the balance. There's in-swing balance, but we're not dealing with that here, and there's pre-swing balance. If your posture, as I mentioned earlier, is a little out of sync, that's going to affect the direction that the club travels in. So let me try and illustrate that to you more clearly. If I'm out of position with my posture, I'm either too low here, then the likelihoods are I'm going to pick the club up fairly steeply. It's natural, instinctive to do that. If I had a poor posture by standing this way to the ball, I'm more likely to send the club round this way. So you can see the angles I set up at address influence the direction, path and control of the club. That falls in line with the weight distribution. They're interrelated. Posture and weight distribution are really almost as one in the golf swing. So if I stand to the ball with my weight wrongly, even if my posture is correct, I'm out of position. Again, the club won't travel on the correct paths. It won't come up at the correct angles. I won't be positioned in relation to the ball correctly, whether it's in front or behind. So really, you need to be sure in your own mind that your posture and your weight distribution are correct right from the beginning. Let me show you how you can influence the ball flight in a positive way with certain changes or subtle changes to your posture and weight distribution. It was clear earlier on, we explained that the more your weight was forward of the ball without leaning into it, that the ball flight would be lower. I don't think that's a difficult one for us to appreciate. And that if we kept our weight more behind the ball, it was easier for us to hit a higher ball flight. But we mustn't contort those positions. In other words, we mustn't manufacture them into being here's behind the ball or here's in front of it. We must try just to simply position the ball and our bodies in a harmonious relationship so that the posture and weight distribution remain constant and consistent. A little tip that might help, particularly for those slightly more advanced golfers, is that if you tend to get your body more on top of the golf shot, for example, this way, you will tend to find the club will travel on a slightly straighter line and also the ball will come out lower. Whereas if I have my weight or I'm further from the ball, which I wouldn't recommend really to any golfer, but the influences are as I stand further from the ball, the club travels more inside and the angle of attack, the club comes down much more shallow and the ball will flight up in the air. So we could refer to when we play shorter, lower running shots that we get more on top of it. We're closer to the ball, we're more in control of the club, a little like a putt. We stand more here. When we want to play that sort of more handsy, soft-flighted ball, we stand slightly further and create this slightly longer, more flowing swing. So we can see just in those few moments how the weight distribution, left, right, backward, forward, is totally related to posture in terms of angles of the body. This upper body is the key to everything, getting this in the right position, and then how that influences the more dynamic movements of the swing, which we're now going to follow up with in this lesson on your short game.